This is a real image of the Sun taken by a ground-based telescope. If you look closely, you can see a very small black dot passing across the surface of the Sun, in sharp contrast to the enormous star. This little figure is one of the 8 planets in our solar system, Mercury. This astronomical event of Mercury passing across the surface of the Sun is called a transit of Mercury. Mercury is the smallest planet in the solar system, and also the closest to the Sun. When Mercury moves between the Sun and the Earth, forming a straight line between the three, it blocks a portion of the sunlight from the Sun, causing a transit of Mercury. However, because Mercury is so small, with a diameter only 1,900,000th that of the Sun, and it is 92.2 million kilometers away from us, the area of the Sun covered by Mercury is very small, almost insufficient to reduce the brightness of the Sun. Therefore, the image of Mercury's passage cannot be seen with the naked eye on Earth, and can only be captured through telescopes, creating a stunning scene. Generally speaking, because the orbital period between Mercury and Earth is not the same, the transit of Mercury occurs about 13 times every 100 years, in May or early November. Of course, in addition to the transit of Mercury, we can also see the phenomenon of the transit of Venus on Earth. Like the principle of the transit of Mercury, Venus is the second planet in the solar system from the inside out. When the Sun, Venus, and Earth are aligned, Venus will block some of the light from the Sun. We can then see the scene of Venus passing over the Sun through a telescope. However, because Venus is closer to us than Mercury, and Venus' diameter is larger than Mercury, the small black spot in the transit of Venus, seen from Earth, is slightly larger than that in the transit of Mercury. So since that's the case, we can see the scenes of the transits of Venus and Mercury on Earth. Why haven't we seen scenes of the transits of Mars or Jupiter? It should be noted that Jupiter is the largest planet in our solar system, much larger than Mercury and Venus. If there were a transit of Jupiter seen, it would certainly be much more spectacular than the transit of Mercury and Venus. So why haven't we heard of the transit of Jupiter? Actually, all of this is due to unknown reasons. In order to see the transit phenomenon, the celestial body must be located between the Sun and the Earth. In our solar system, almost all celestial bodies revolve around the Sun in their own orbits and periods. Therefore, to block the sunlight from reaching the Earth, it must be within the orbits of the Sun and the Earth. In the entire solar system, the Earth is the third planet from the inside out, so only 2 planets, Venus and Mercury, can block the sunlight that shines on the Earth. Of course, there is also a celestial body, the Moon, which is the satellite of the Earth. Since Venus and Mercury are far away from us, it is difficult for us ordinary people to see the phenomena of the Mercury and Venus transits without using a telescope. However, the Moon is only 380,000 km away from us, which makes it very obvious when it blocks the light from the Sun, and we can clearly perceive it on the Earth. However, the phenomenon of the Moon blocking the sunlight is not called a lunar transit, but is divided into partial solar eclipse, total solar eclipse, annular solar eclipse, and hybrid solar eclipse, depending on the specific part of the Moon that blocks the sunlight. For example, during a total solar eclipse, when a certain area on the Earth experiences a total solar eclipse, the entire land will go from day to night and gradually become brighter after a short period of time. Therefore, we can know that the transit phenomenon is actually an astronomical phenomenon caused by some celestial bodies within the orbit of the Earth blocking the sunlight from the Sun. Unlike Mars and Jupiter, their orbits are located outside the orbit of the Earth, so they can never move between the Earth and the Sun. Therefore, we on Earth can never see the so-called Mars transits and Jupiter transits. Of course, we on Earth will be located between Mars and Jupiter and the Sun. Therefore, if we live on Mars and Jupiter, we could see the phenomenon of Earth transits. In this case, since Jupiter cannot block the light from the Sun, can it block the light from other stars? Other stars are too far away from us on Earth, and most of their brightness is not as high as that of Jupiter. Therefore, Jupiter cannot appear as the paranormal phenomenon we imagine. However, astronomers use paranormal phenomena to search for exoplanets. The nearest star system is also 4.22 light-years away from us. Since these alien planets do not emit light, it is difficult for us to see their existence using telescopes. However, when these planets pass across the surface of their parent star, it will cause the luminosity of their parent star to change. Although we cannot see the change in luminosity with our naked eyes, scientists can use some very advanced astronomical observation equipment to capture the faint change in luminosity of their parent star, and calculate the number of planets in their orbital periods around this star. Scientists have found the existence of many exoplanets in the Milky Way using the transit method. Since these planets are too far away from us, we cannot know what kind of planet they are, let alone the world on their planet continent.
If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to our channel so that you will be the first to receive the latest videos from us. Click the red subscribe button. Thank you.